Hey YouTube, what is up? This is Gino Bonino. Welcome once again to my channel, and I thank you for dropping in and checking out what I got to show. Couple things. First, I'm going to tell a story. I got something to show you. As I go along, I'm going to try to show comics and tell the story all at the same time. See if I can chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. Anyway, the thing in front of you I just got off of eBay. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but it's called a Captain Action figure. And basically what it is, check this out. Those of you might, I played with this a lot as a kid. It is basically kind of a goofy looking action figure. And he comes with accessories, knife and gun and all that kind of stuff. But what's very cool about it is you can get costumes that go over it and turn him into a completely different character. Put a mask over his face, put a hat on, all that kind of stuff. So basically this guy is just kind of the base thing you need to build with. And then you, for example, you got a Thor and Spider-Man. And what's cool about it is you have different action figures all the time. You know, it gets kind of sick of looking at the same person. Thor comes with the whole bodysuit, cape, and then of course you have this to make his face, and then his winged helmet. He also has this version of him with a beard, of course his hammer and his little wristlets and all that kind of thing. Anyway, it's very cool. This was a thing that started out in the, believe it or not, in the 60s. However, it's been reintroduced, I think, back in the 90s and then once again in 2005, I think. So be careful if you ever do collect stuff like this, because when you get things that have been reintroduced, sometimes you get unscrupulous dealers that will sell things and push it off as being old and vintage, and it's actually just, you know, kind of the re-release. So, for example, I've seen people sell 2000. Let me fix my camera a little bit here. They will sell things as being from the 60s. It's actually from the 2005. Now, real quick, I bought a collection. I know I've talked to some folks on YouTube about it, and make a long story short, I kind of have check out Facebook Marketplace, and I put like a 60 or 80 mile circle around where I live, and anybody that lists comic books or comic book collections pops up on my radar. And typically what I find, and you may have the same experience, is that the collections aren't very good. Either somebody that has fallen into books that aren't really all that valuable, but yet they think they are. They look at the guide, they see, for example, a first Spider-Man from 1990 is, you know, they'll think they have #1 issue and it's worth, you know, a new Ferrari. And the fact of the matter is it's worth $5. And sometimes you call, tell them what they have isn't all that great, and they get angry at you. But anyway, this one popped up. This person did it a little different. They actually put each and every book, they laid it out and took pictures of it. Not each book, but, you know, of the lot. They made like 4 pictures of the lot. And after thinking about it, I picked it up. There were really some key issues in here that I wanted. And like any collection, you know, you've got your cream and you got your milk. And so what you got to do is put up with one to get the other. And that's sort of what's up. And also there's a lot of, these are kind of these are older books. The reason I picked this too, as you'll find out, there's, by the way, this is Send Away AIM Amazing Spider-Man. This has no issue number, but it was a send away. It says right up here, compliments of AIM toothpaste. I assume what you did is collected so many and sent in and got so many box covers and got this. But anyway, that's what that is. This is another book that was in the collection, number 49. What you'll find is there'll be a few keys. But what I like about it too is there's books that help me complete runs, and that's kind of why I like this. So that's why I picked it. Another thing you'll notice as I go along, a lot of the books are newsstand edition. So there's not a lot. This person collected these, actually collected them. He didn't send away for them. So it's kind of cool. Anyway, I'll tell you a little bit about what I paid for it, what he wanted, and all that as we go along. Issue 49, really cool Vulture cover. And Craven as well. Then issue 167, Amazing Spider-Man. And that's when I have some of my key issues notated here. I actually went through and picked them out. One, and this is first appearance of Willow the Wasp in this one. Then 174. Like this, I like any cover that has Spider-Man and certain characters. I like when there's Spider-Man and the Punisher. Because if you think about the Punisher, he's basically a Spider-Man character. He was introduced in 129, so anytime I see him on the cover, I think it's cool. As long as he doesn't get overused. 177, which is, again, another character that is in prominence now with the Red Goblin and Green Goblin stuff coming out, but this is issue 177. And issue number 181. I like this. This is a very cool thing with Peter Parker or Spider-Man in front of the gravestone, and then the villains behind there. The assumption being that somebody died and one of these guys did it. Who was it, sort of thing. But if I remember right, that wasn't exactly what happened in the book. Then we have a very cool book, which is issue number 197 with Kingpin on it. 198, and really, as I'm going to talk about this a little later, Kingpin was a Spider-Man villain originally. He really never was associated with Daredevil that much until later on. 198, Mysterio, 199, and 200. And what happened in issue 200 that was prominent was the guy that killed Uncle Ben, the gunman, supposedly, died in this issue. And again, that's prominent because, or important because that's what made Spider-Man Spider-Man. If there was no guy that killed Uncle Ben would have, Spider-Man would have remained, a sideshow person, a wrestler, whatever the case may be. So we think, but anyway, he dies in this issue, the gunman. Then we've got issue number 209. Once again, Kraven. Character introduced in here called Calypso. And issue 210, character called Madam Web, which is that person there. And I think issue 211, very cool Namor, Submariner on the cover. Issue 212. And this is the first appearance of Hydro Man, who kind of, if you think about it, it's sort of a knockoff of the Sandman, except instead of sand, you use water. Then, issue 213. Again, a very cool kind of white background cover. 234. And then the first real good key, I shouldn't say real first, but anyway, 238, first Hobgoblin. One thing to know about this book, if you guys are looking to collect this has an insert in it, which is a tattoo. And a lot of people cut them out, use the tattoo, which, again, unfortunately affects the worth of the book, similar to cutting out the Marvel stamps like on Hulk 181 and stuff. So if you ever do buy this book, or if you buy it online or whatever, make sure and ask the question, does it come intact? And the coupon actually isn't one that you cut out. It's a stapled in aftermarket thing, like a piece of paper that sits there. So if the person has removed it completely, you may not even know it's supposed to have that. This one does. So if you get this book, make sure and ask for it. If you're going to pay, full price for it or whatever, make sure that the coupon is intact, because it does affect the way the book grades, and it also affects the way that, as far as its aftermarket value and stuff like that. 240, which is a very weird looking Vulture character. Then 339 with sort of looks to me, now I'm not sure who the artist is here, but it certainly looks, you can tell they were kind of copying Todd McFarlane art. This whole time period was kind of that kind of stuff. Then another very cool one, especially, again, I've got 2 or 3 of these already. Issue 347 with Venom doing the to be or not to be sort of thing with Spider-Man's face. This is getting copied as we speak in Avengers. If you get it, you'll see, and that's one of the variants. And 348 and 350. Again, these are kind of that's the end of the Spider-Mans. Then we go to sort of a DC book, which is Eric, or Arak, Son of Thunder. Arak is sort of, that's this guy, kind of a Conan ripoff, DC's version of Conan. This is issue number 5. Then we've got a real, many people bought this, lots sold. Armageddon 2001, issue 1. Sort of prominent, sort of a minor key because being a first issue, but it'll probably never do anything just simply because they sold so many of them. Then we have Avengers Annual number 12. And again, very cool with the A and the Avengers in it. This was the team back then. And then the normal run, issue 180, Monolith appearance, and 188, and 193, 197, 199, and 200. Again, anytime you get the centennial issues, it's cool. The 200s, 300s. Action Comics is coming out with their 1,000 issue this next month, I think. Similar along those lines. And this was one that, again, back in the day when this first came out, people thought, oh my God, this is going to be a very collectible comic. This is what they were doing then. They were doing foil, and it's also got the, it's the punched out effect as well. This is the Vision, and this was, I think, the first ever cover that was not silver or gold. This was kind of a copper look to it, and this was issue 360. Then we get into Batmans, and this is a Whitman Batman. I think probably it was the reason it was a Whitman Batman. I think if I remember right, they sold them in packs of 2, packs of 3, in toy stores and stuff like that. This is issue 306 and 307. The issue number isn't right on the cover of these. You actually have to look on the first page to see it. Then this is issue 3, what is this, 313 or 315? Hard to see. 314. Oh, 314 Batman with a very cool, again, Batman hanging out with Two-Face inside the helicopter. Issue 338. And then we get into the Nightfall Batman, and I've got a ton of these. These sold like hotcakes, so basically there's too many of them out there. One thing I will say, this is issue 492. If you do have this kind of stuff and you are thinking about it, keep in mind that even though they sold quite a few 100,000 of them, not everybody took care of them. What happened is people got upset because it didn't immediately increase in value, and a lot of people got rid of their books or threw them out or whatever when they found out they weren't going to stay super valuable. So that always limits, how many near mint copies are out there. So I always tell people, don't get discouraged. Don't throw your stuff out. Even though it may not be worth much now, it may very well be worth something, on down the road. So as long as you've got the space, keep it bagged up, keep it in good shape, and wait and see what happens. Time is on your side. Time isn't against you. So don't get discouraged. Issue 493. And 494, and what was happening here is it was bouncing back and forth between this and Detective Comics, and what was happening was Batman was basically getting tired out, and he was getting he would basically get introduced to a new villain in each and every issue. So he would figure out how to defeat the villain, but it would end up in the long term wiping him out both physically and mentally. So by the time we got to 497, Bane was able to easily defeat him and break his back. That's 496, and this is 497. 497, I know it comes in at least 3 printings, or maybe more than that. The first one has the, as I remember, I could be wrong, has the black. This is a separate piece of paper that sits here. Then for the second printing, the paper was off, and then the third printing, I think they put it back on again. So make sure and check if you think you're buying a first print, second print, third print. Make sure and check inside. It'll let you know. I don't know if it says on the cover or not, but I do know it says inside the first page. That's a first printing, by the way. And then we got Captain America's number 199. and 200. And there's actually, I have a copy of this one already. I remember collecting it. And 232, jumps around a little bit. 233. And 243. One thing I did notice about this collection, the bags are kind of old. They need to definitely be rebagged. So what I'm going to do next after I make the video is go through and figure out what books are the keys and what ones I'm going to put into my collection, and I'm going to rebag them and reboard them and all that kind of stuff and make them look a little prettier. So this is 243 and 244. 247, 248. And again, these are mainly good because I do have openings in my print run. These kind of help fill that. 249. Got a couple of those. And issue 250. Again, kind of half a Sentinel. But I do like this cover. It's very cool with Captain America and a little shield. A little pin. And then we got 387. Modam, kind of a weird looking character. Then we get into some Conan the Barbarian. This was a comic put out with a movie. Again, not a new practice. They're doing it now with Ant-Man and Wasp. They're doing it now with Avengers. You'll see that there's preludes and all that kind of stuff coming out. Actually, they're not selling a lot of those books. It's kind of a small print run, so those books are doing real good on the flip market. Issue 2, same thing. Then, this is one of the things that led me to buy this collection. This is some Daredevils, and this is Frank Miller's run on Daredevil. Again, something that is highly sought after. It's a very, as far as the run of the book goes, this is known as one of the best runs of the book, and also well collected. People really like this stuff. This is issue 160. This is probably the most well known of all the covers that I have, at least. Then 161. Bullseye on the cover. 165. 166. And my favorite cover probably is 167 with the blue and the sights on Daredevil right between his eyes. Then this is an issue that's well known for the fact that this is the first time Kingpin actually fought Daredevil. Again, like I mentioned, Spider-Man and Kingpin were the hero-enemy duo, and then this was the first time that the Kingpin crossed over and became Daredevil's foe, and this is issue 170. So this is a pretty good key issue for that reason. And now when you think about Daredevil, mainly because of the Netflix series, you think of Fisk or the Kingpin because, they did such a great job of portraying him. But, yeah, this is the first time that Daredevil and him square off. Then we get into some Darkman, which back in this time when this was published, really didn't do much. Darkman was one of those characters where you thought that it was going to go nowhere. There was Darkhawk, there was Deathlock, Moon Knight, etc. They were just kind of go nowhere characters, and now all of a sudden, and that's what I was trying to say earlier. If you would have thrown that stuff out or got discouraged because you felt, well, it's never going to go anywhere, maybe he'll get a movie or something like that and become sort of a big character. So it's always a good idea to hang on to that kind of stuff. Issue number 5. Then we get into some Deadly Foes of Spider-Man. Issue 1. And there's a lot of number 1s here in this collection. Number 2. And speaking of Deathlock, there he is, issue number 2. And 4. This was the 90s run. Then we bounce into Detective Comics, which, like I mentioned, was what the Nightfall series was doing back and forth. This is issue number 659, I believe. Yeah. And the second story in the Nightfall trilogy, they put the number up here so you can figure out if you've got all the issues. Sam Keith cover, very iconic with both Bane and Croc on it. Issue 660. And again, Keith always signs his name kind of that way, so you know it's his work. 661 and 662. And my favorite cover of the lot, 663, which is the Batman drowning with rats on his face. Very cool cover. Like it just for the cover alone. Then we've got a one-shot sort of Doctor Strange and Ghost Rider. I don't know if this was a mini-series or what, but this is the first issue of it. It's called Doctor Strange Ghost Rider Special, and what they're trying to do is basically they're two magic characters. They're putting them together. And again, Ghost Rider back then was, you know, he got used a lot, but he really didn't go anywhere. So now that the Cosmic Ghost Rider is coming out, hopefully that'll change that. Then we've got some Fantastic Fours. Once again, I had some opens in my run, so I'm glad I got the collection. 236 and 250. 299. And then a DC book. One of their kind of go nowhere characters, Firestorm, Nuclear Man, issue number 1. I believe this was the second run of the book, or third, I'm not absolutely sure. And then Ghost Rider from his first run. When he first came out, he rode a horse, then he went to a motorcycle, and this was the run where he turned over to the motorcycle. This is issue 38. Then one kind of a weird book out of place, Ultraverse hardcase. Ultraverse now is Malibu Comics. I think they merged or sold out to them or something like that, so it's no longer under the Ultraverse heading. Incredible Hulks. This is 234, and the cover that I love, I've had this one in my collection for a while, which is Hulk and Silver Surfer, 250, and 3D Man, 251. Then we've got an Invaders book. Now, I've noticed about Invaders, there's a lot of key issues for such a small run of a book. If you look, a lot of characters have been introduced in this book. So if you can find Invaders, check to see if it's a key. This one is 15. It really isn't all that great, but again, I know there's a lot. For a small run of books, there's a lot of key issues for Invaders. 15. Then we've got Iron Man, 138. Dreadnought, and 140 and 143 and this is probably a well-known cover. This is a very famous Doctor Doom and Iron Man clash, basically Iron v Iron, and again, it's a very well-known cover, issue 150, in pretty good shape too. And then this is a one-shot, and this is one of the books that helped me convince me to buy the collection. This is Iron Man Submariner one-shot. Basically, they were reintroducing the characters, kind of trying to get them out in the public before they got their own books and stuff like that. But again, it's a 12-cent book, and anytime you can find 12 or 15-cent books, I recommend getting them because, again, they're not making anymore, and 12-cent books are, if they're in good shape especially, will always make, you know, good cornerstones of your collection. Then Joker number 1. Wish this was in a little better condition. Unfortunately, it isn't. We've got a little issue here that can probably be pressed out. But there's a few little, you know, things and whatnot. The book is complete, but it does need a little work. So basically, I'm going to get going on this. I'm probably going to give it a good pressing and clean it up a little bit. But this is Joker number 1. A very cool cover. I mean, you know, it's got traditional Spider-Man, Batman villains on it. Got Penguin and all that kind of stuff. And again, this is a cool issue. Joker number 1. Then we've got Justice Society of America. And this is, I think, they always come out and then stop and then redo. You know how it works. This is issue number 1, but of course it's not a 1-1. It's probably 4-1. So Justice Society of America number 1 and number 2. And then we've got King Conan number 1. And Legends of, what is this? 6-part miniseries, Legends, which, again, it's a number 1 issue with a cool cover. And once again, worth collecting. Then we've got some Weapon X books. This is Wolverine. Well, he's getting made into Wolverine, basically going through the Weapon X program. Issue 76 and 77. 78, which is probably my favorite cover, which is his face, followed by this one, 79. Again, these covers are just awesome. Now, I'm not sure. I have to check. I don't know if these are the ones that are double-sided. Some of the Weapon X's, you've got two books, half and half. Flip it over, and it's got something else going on the other side. Iron Fist number 18. You know, again, a quarter book. Good deal. Then we've got just some reprints, basically Super Action Avengers number 17 and Marvel Tales 250. These are just reprints of, you know, older books. Still good stuff to read, though. Then this is Spider-Man Marvel Team Up number 4 with the Purple Man in it from Jessica Jones fame. If you remember the character from the first series, that's him. Basically, guy that's can do telepathy and all that kind of stuff and make you do things. But this is Spider-Man teaming up with Moon Knight, Iron Fist, Power Man, and Daredevil. Marvel team up with Doctor Strange, issue 50. Issue 96 with Howard the Duck. And issue 98 with the Black Widow. On here, guys, thanks for sticking around. I know this is going to be a long video. The other one, the next one, isn't as long. Issue 97 with Spider-Woman and the Hulk. Took Spider-Man out of this one. And issue 100 with the Fantastic Four. Got two of those. And then Marvel 2-in-1. Old Thing versus New Thing. If you remember when the Fantastic Four first came out, the Thing was more of kind of like a blobby character. Then he became more stone-like. So this is the way he was drawn or portrayed back when they first was Fantastic Four. Excuse me, and this is what he turned into. And that's issue number 50. Then Marvel Universe, basically stuff like encyclopedia or dictionary of characters. This is letter A. This is letter D through G. Issues 1 and 4, I believe, yeah. Then one book that's nice. This is New Mutants number 1, newsstand edition. Once again, this is a hold because with the series coming out, we'll wait and see what happens in a year or so when it starts getting some prominence. My guess is this book is going to be one of those that'll jump, you know, up in value. But right now, we'll just hold on to it. Glad it was in the collection. Issue 2, issue 3. Issue 26. Oh, excuse me, 92. I read that wrong. With Skrulls on the cover. And these are two good issues, 99 and 100. Todd Liefeld art. Once again, the new team coming out and all that kind of stuff. These issues, if you have them in your collection, keep an eye on them. They're going to be jumping up in value when the movies and all that, you know, when the news and whatnot starts coming out about it. The new Teen Titans, number 9. This was, again, a very cool issue with them basically dead and on strings by the Puppet Master. And then, of course, sadly, a Go Nowhere book, Nomad number 1. Thought it was going to do well, but it never did. So, but again, hold on to it. You never do know what might happen. And that's it, guys, for the first box. I appreciate you sticking around. I know this is a long video. The next one is much shorter. And I'll talk to you a little bit about the collection and what I ended up paying for it and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. I'll see you next time. Once again, thanks. Gino Bonino out. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. And I appreciate it. And I am out. Bye-bye.